Hello and welcome to the Wednesday check-in powered by the Goxstein News Network. I'm your host, Landy, and today is November 26th, 2025. And we have a bit of daily mean reversion going on for Bitcoin here. Not unexpected. We did talk about this on Monday. And pretty simply, this is mean reversion. We had a big volatile move to the downside here after a compression right around the 108 to 107 region. And of course, we saw the close open right here coming in, breaching into that big weekly zone and even below. We had the rally to 116 and a half, and then, downtrend. And it's still a powerful downtrend. So, last lower high is right here at 107 and a half with a close right at 106. And that's the last lower high. So unless Bitcoin goes up, takes out this lower high, this is very likely going to put in a lower high before trying for a true reversal setup. And that's what I would encourage those who are trading this and maybe feel like they're sidelined to actually wait for the reversal setup to present itself. That's really what you should be doing, because we're very highly likely going to get a lower high, whether it be here or higher, up towards the resistances. Whether it goes all the way up to like 98 to 101, of course, that's a weekly level that these dailies were hanging on to before breaking down. That's remains to be seen as this mean reverts. And if we do see things past the basis band, which is just above a big weekly level, which I'm going to show here in just a moment, above the weekly level at 93.5, we essentially are back in the daily levels around 94 to 96. Now that's some daily levels over here. And then we've got dailies over here, right? And that's, we have 92 here, which is inside of the weekly. But when you're looking at 94 to 96, we're looking at this cluster and the bottom side of this consolidation, right? Which also dips into that same weekly over here and over here around 93.5. So above there, that's pretty heavy resistance, right? So we need to see if Bitcoin can make it there. That would be somewhere around the basis band. But if it does start to close above, then we can start looking towards, the $96,000 point of control, top side of this area here, which would be, right around 94 to 90, $95 to $96,000, right? Before getting to the major weekly that Bitcoin was trying to hold on to up here between 98 and 101, where we saw these dailies come in. Now, wherever I'm kind of in the camp of we're looking for lower highs from here. And then whatever happens after a lower high is going to be the most important part for this particular trend, right? So we've got the downtrending structure here. And in this case, we had a little bit of a swing uptrend with a little bit of a closing higher low structure back into the 116, 118 resistance. And then now we've been downtrending since, right? So realistically, what we're looking for here is wherever it's either going to come up and trend break, right, above 107.5, which I think is a little bit of a low likelihood. It could make it, if it makes it past the basis, try for the bottom side of the structure at 98 to 101, but very highly likely going to put in a lower high. I don't care where that comes in. You can draw whatever you want. This is just an example. And then it's all about what happens from there. It's either going to be trend continuation, whether it's from, up higher here or right around here, and that becomes a lower high. And then we're either looking for trend continuation past the low to new lows, or we're looking for this to, come in and do something like this and go higher low, higher high. Right. And that's where we could potentially see things change a little bit here. And actually, I didn't want to do that. Let me go ahead and get that back. So that's kind of what I'd be on the lookout for is it, let's say, just for the sake of argument, this is a lower high right here. I'm not saying that that's where it's going to come in, but let's say it's somewhere around here. It's all about either trend continuation to the downside or a higher low, equal low trend reversal setup. And that can come in the daily here. That can come anywhere inside of this swing structure between the close and the swing is fine, even if it made it down there, or anywhere higher, of course, than this last lower low. That is the setup as it stands right now. Let's turn the levels on, discuss those for a moment. And then I'm going to tell you, I'm going to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I got a ton of family over. I hope you can't hear them in the background. So let's see here. What am I doing here? There we go. There we go. So we've got Bitcoin trapped right in the weekly, and man, price is just so clean. It's just so damn clean. I mean, look, filled out the week, sat on top of the weekly, dumped down to our inflection point at $89,000, right? Between 89 and 93.5, basis band coming in just above 93.5 there, and then, after losing the bottom side of the weekly here and holding on to 86, dumped down, hit the next weekly at $80,000. And then, of course, price worked its way back into the 86 to 89 area, sits on 86, and now is pushing up. So next big area to the upside is going to be the dailies at 92, like I said, inside of this weekly. But the weeklies are going to be more important. It's playing so clean on the weeklies that it's you can't ignore it, right? So above the 93.5, then we can start looking to the bottom side structure. This is a weekly, of course, overhead. And that's going to be our 98 to 101 right there by an upper first standard deviation. Now, closes above there would look pretty good, but obviously the last lower highs over here at 107.5 inside of a lot of weekly structure up here and a major fib level. So in the lower term time frames, if we did see 89, the inflection point of this weekly closing structure between 93.5 and 86, 89 is the common swing point between the higher low and the lower high structure there. Also, it's a fib level for me. If that is lost, look down to 86. If it's dropped, we can run all the way back to the lows and even sweep the lows by the lower second standard deviation. And that's, if we do like put in a high here and then come back down, it's all about the higher low equal low setup, like I was saying, and then wherever this high comes in is what you need to pay attention to for the trend break. So you get trend reversal setup, trend break from there. It's very unlikely that it's going to work its way all the way through the weeklies to trend break before going for a trend reversal setup. Now, that's what you'd want to hunt for on the way back down. Obviously, pay attention to the upside over Thanksgiving and into Friday before I record that video, which I will have out Friday evening after close. But in this case, it's all about, trend continuation, right? So if we do get wherever we get a lower high from, if we get a lower high, still have to say if Bitcoin does crazy stuff, could maybe even take out 107.5. I think it's very unlikely from here before putting in a lower high trend reversal setup on the daily. But you have to be aware of the lower low structure. Anywhere below the lower second standard deviation, we're looking at bracketing the range for volatility here, which is right in the prime area between $80,000 and $78,000 to the downside here. Closes back above, like wick fishing, closing back above, and then taking on another lower high would also validate a trend reversal setup. But if 78's dropped, we're looking somewhere around $74,000, $75,000. Of course, that's the monthly higher low swing structure. 82.5, by the way, I know that we know this already because I showed it on Monday, but 82.5 is in between these two weeklies, between 86 and 80. 82.5 is the monthly close. Just as a reminder, you can go back and reference Monday's video for that if you like. Just pay attention to it. It's not shown on the chart, but that is an area to the downside as well that is going to be very, very important as we come into the close this month, which is Sunday. I will remind you of that on Friday. So definitely worth paying attention. Again, this is mean reversion. I know people are getting so excited about bull market's back. Oh my God, baby. Look, this is very highly likely going to make a lower high. And the reason why I'm stressing this look for a trend reversal setup is because this can pump and pump. And unless it takes out 107.5, it's going to put in a lower high. And then everyone on the timeline is going to be screaming on the way back down. All right. So just keep your wits about you. Understand what the structure is and what is happening on the charts. And it will help you keep a level head and start to hunt for a potential higher low equal low trend reversal setup and or trend continuation into the weeklies down below. All right. Of course, the downside here. I did want to touch on the mining side of things. We were one block away from the actual a difficulty adjustment on the network. And look, price leads this, right? Because if price is low and miners are underwater, that's where we see hash rates start to come down because machines, they turn off, right? They don't go away. They don't magically disappear, by the way. They turn off, and then we get a difficulty adjustment down. And if there's margin there for them to turn back on where it makes sense, they're going to still be in profit, meaning that provides room to the downside, meaning miners can mine at lower prices when we get difficulty adjustments down, right? So when those machines turn back on, hash rate comes back up and stabilizes, but that also creates a floor. But it is good to see that price is rising and hash rate rising with it. And that's going to, and difficulty adjusting down gives miners some room. And the further price gets to the upside, the more room they'll have. Now, we did get that difficulty adjustment by now. We are on the new epoch. The next difficulty adjustment is going to be December 3rd for 2006. You know what? That makes sense, actually. It's going to be it's just about every 2 weeks, but it's 2016 blocks. So December 3rd makes sense. It's about a week. The difficulty adjustment that you're seeing here is not an accurate difficulty adjustment, by the way. This is not accurate at all. But what this is telling you is hash rate is recovering, right? So hash price here is recovering. We did get a difficulty adjustment just under 2%. And we have seen that on the network here, we've seen a little bit on the daily here of a nice little rounded bottom and hash rate ticking back up with price here and in support of price. So looks good. But understand that because we had that difficulty adjustment down, which I'm going to show here, let's see, there we go, right to the 7-day moving average, which means that as hash continues up, it can get over top of the difficulty adjustment band or moving average here, gets above the actual difficulty level here. And we should see some relief for miners and some continued relief for miners, but it also lowers the floor for how long they can keep those prior miners that were shutting off online, meaning at lower prices. So don't rule out a lower high and then a run to 80 again, or the low 80 region, realistically, and maybe even more for a lower low. That's not necessarily my base case right now. Let the bounce play out, see where the highs come in, and then search either a trend reversal setup again or on higher, lower, equal low setup for a trend reversal setup, and then or continuation to new lows. All right, I think that just about does it for today. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Please like and share the videos out there. I know that I get a lot of questions that come in based on like my title or what I put in the initial post, and like I can clearly tell when you haven't watched the video. Okay. And just watch the video. I know that sometimes they're a little bit longer than others, but I try to keep them about 15 minutes. But realistically, if there's a lot of stuff going on in the market, and I feel that it's important to say, the video is going to be longer. They've been longer for a little while here because I was trying to warn of the potential downtrend in the important areas. Now it's kind of relating how price affects the network. And right now, miners have got a little bit of relief coming into the 3rd. And then, of course, we are going to get some extra relief coming into the 10th. So it can be anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks for the 2016 blocks. Estimation for the next one is going to be December 3rd. I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know how accurate that's going to be. We'll see. We'll see. What is December 3rd? Is that, it's about a week. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. And like and share this out there. And I will talk to you again on Friday. I hope you have a wonderful, of course, morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are. But if you're here in the United States, have a happy Thanksgiving. And for the rest of you, have a good day, right? And I'll talk to you again on Friday. And with all that being said, Lindy out. Take care.